close that out.
And I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go grab water real quick.
Sure.
Right. Perfect.
Alright. Oh, we got some people in here. What's up, guys?
Yo, what's up?
What's up, my man? How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Doing great, man. Sure, Gio, I just want to introduce you and Quinn to a new member of the group, Ki-Young. Ki-Young, is that how you say your name? Or is it Kang?
Hi guys, yep, that's
Awesome.
the correct pronunciation, Young.
Beautiful. So we got Shark Gio, he's over in the UK as well.
What's
And
up?
then Quentin is down in France.
Hello, brother. Welcome.
Hello guys.
Welcome, bro.
Alright, I'm just going to open up the YouTube real quick, so I know if they have any questions. Here we go. Quentin, how you doing this morning?
Much better. Had a good night's sleep.
That's good.
Yeah.
Catching up on some of it.
Yeah, definitely.
When do you officially move back to Paris?
Sunday, October 2nd.
Sunday, October 2nd. Okay. It's coming up, man.
Yeah.
Are you excited or?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay. And why
I
is
feel
that?
like it's tomorrow.
You do what tomorrow?
I feel like it's tomorrow.
I
So,
bet.
Second, like,
I bet. And now, what makes you excited about it?
just, basically, I'm gonna have more control over my schedule and
Oh,
be
that's
able to put more time into trading. And also, I'm gonna see friends I haven't seen for a long time.
Okay.
And do tons of things that I haven't been able to do.
Good for you, man. Well, you know I like the sound of more time in trading.
Yeah.
Not that you haven't been putting time in, because you
That's for
definitely have. You've been doing really well. It's
Yeah,
you
it's
just
just
take it to a
the
whole other
hectic
level.
schedule with the restaurant that's been kind of giving me a hit
Yeah.
from time to time.
I'm sure that's frustrating. I'm sure there's a
Yeah.
lot of you guys going through that where, you guys have these daytime jobs, you got 9 to 5s or jobs more specifically with inconsistent scheduling where like every day is different. That's I could see how that's extremely difficult or frustrating for somebody that's trying to build their skill in trading or do something specific with trading. I'm sure you guys are going through something similar. So if you guys could get yourself out of that situation or use it as fuel for you to, basically get out of the situation by trading full time or starting a business, whatever the case may be. But everyone has their own story. Everyone's got their own deck of cards, and you just gotta cycle your way through it. You gotta shuffle your deck and embrace every single part or every single card that you get. So, hope everyone's doing well. I see all the good morning messages. We're going to be getting started here pretty soon. I'm just waiting on Sharma to get her water. And then we're going to be trading interest rates today for Great Britain. Alright, so yesterday we had interest rates. Let me actually open up the week calendar. This week. Let's scroll down to Wednesday over here. So we actually ended up increasing interest rates again in the U.S. by 75 basis points. So their public enemy number one is inflation, and that's all they care about. That's what you heard from Powell as well yesterday, where their main objective is curbing prices, curbing inflation. So they're going to keep increasing rates until that happens. Out of Japan over here, they of course did not increase interest rates last night, so that's not much of a surprise either. But today is Great Britain. So we got a bunch of interest rates coming out this week. If you guys trade GJ, GU, any of these pairs, you're going to be affected by this today. So what I would suggest you guys do, as you guys all know, trade the reaction to the news. Right? Wait for the move to come out. Wait 10, 15 minutes. Wait for candles to close. And then take the setup. Trade the trend. Alright? So, does anybody have any questions before we get started? Sharma, are you here yet? I think she's just grabbing water real quick. Got Tiffany in here, Andreas, KB, Tim Cuddy. I love that name, Tim Cuddy. That's sick. Also, the BOJ intervened in the FX market by buying yen with the dollar holdings, which caused a huge spike down in yen pairs. Wow. Yeah, let's go take a look at the indice for the yen. Looks like the dollar came down over here, right back down to 110.800, holding that support. Looks like we created a lower high over here. So are we going to get some kind of a further pullback over here on the dollar? We're looking at the Japanese yen right now. Yeah, you see that little spike right there. So we ended up holding support down here yesterday, right? That was with the interest rate hike. And then we came down throughout the day. And then looks like last night we got some kind of a spike over here from what KB's talking about. First time since 98. Let's go over to the economic calendar.
Alright, I'm back.
What's up? Have intervened in the FX market. Sharma, have you seen this?
No, I just opened up Forex Factory right now.
Yeah, it's looking like they're getting a little nervous about their weak yen.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been putting out the sentiment that this is okay. Like, this is what their currency is, or not currency, but this is what their policy is, and they're fine having a weak monetary policy to make it easy to do business. And now it looks like they're getting a little, because I know their inflation's been going up a little bit, and they haven't been doing anything about it. So, maybe it looks like they're finally about to step in. Got a Japanese bank holiday today. So
And this isn't anything that's uncommon or anything like that. Like, a lot of banks have done this. Now, like, it doesn't happen as often as it used to. You know, back in, like, the late 1990s or even early 2000s. Obviously, it doesn't happen, you know, as often anymore. But it tends to happen as well. So Bank of Japan was obviously expected to do that. I would expect Bank of Japan out of all central banks to do this, or the ECB. Those two, because right now, compared to the rest of the world, their interest rates are the ones, that are the lowest currently. ECB barely started increasing their rates, and Bank of Japan isn't even doing that yet.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been a little bit more easing when it comes to monetary policy.
Yep.
Every country has their own, prerogative. All right, let's move into the charts now. Again, we're expecting interest rate hikes in about, let's actually take a look. Yeah, 7 a.m. So we got about, 22 minutes to break down charts over here on GJ. If you guys look at the, and I know we got a few new people in here, but like Kyung, but what we do over here is we kind of like to keep our historical levels marked off, right? So we got this bearish trend that we've had for years now, since 2007, 2008 market crash. We've been creating these lower highs over here on GJ. And then we finally broke over here when we reached 156, right? We tap into that key area, which is meeting up with a previous resistance right here, and also the previous trend line as well. We ended up meeting up with that area and pushing right back down to 149. Then we broke out of it, right? Closing strong bullish right at 156 over here, but then rejected it again back when they were expecting interest rate hikes in November, and they never got them. So we came right back down to 149. Then they increased rates in December, pushing us right back up to 156. And ever since then, we've kind of been like retesting this whole region right here, where you have a very key area meeting up with the previous bullish trend since COVID, pushing up this way, and then you get the bearish trend over here. Trend lines are not our main confluence, but when they make sense like this, especially on the higher time frames, they give you an idea that price could be bouncing off a certain area, and you could get a lot of volume from that move, right? So since then, we've just been pushing up. We ended up reaching up to 168, 700, anywhere in that area. Ended up reaching into that area and then rejecting, right? Specifically 166. where we came up into this area again multiple times, rejected it, and came right back down to hold support right around like 160. So once holding that support, we push all the way up over here, kind of retesting 166, retesting the yearly highs up here, and then now if you look at the monthly candle, we've been retracing all the way back and we're barely bullish anymore, right? So we're just kind of coming down right now. Maybe interest rate hikes were kind of priced in over here. You had a little rebound on the Japanese yen as well, which pushed us down. But right now, the Great Britain economy is not healthy, right? Even though they're increasing rates right now, they don't have a healthy economy. They're in a recession. They have high prices, weak exports, or obviously they just finished with Brexit a few years ago. So them with trade partners and stuff like that, that's made everything harder as well for them, not to mention. So, but the main point I wanted to get to for anybody new in here is that I like to keep these historical levels marked off. 168, I'd say 700 up here, but you got 166, which you could see on the weekly here. You have that 156 area up here. You got this 149 area over here that was holding support, and then you got these higher time frame trend lines. But looking over here now at the weekly, now you can see how 166 keeps getting rejected over here, right? So looking at last week, candle ended up coming all the way close to yearly highs up here around 168, and then we ended up flipping bearish and closing a strong bearish candle. This candle, it looked like we were kind of holding support over here with this candle pushing up, right? It looked like we were going to hold support and possibly continue up with an increase in rates, but this candle ended up flipping bearish, breaking the low of the previous candle and coming all the way down into these levels over here, but then rejecting this trend line. Let's see if this is even a valid trend line right now, or if we need to adjust. There you go. So we've just been making these higher lows, higher highs during, the recovery from COVID. But again, the main levels that you want to pay attention to are these basic support and resistance levels. You got this support right here. This could be larger if you wanted to, thicker. But you have that support right in this area. And then you got all these wicks coming into this area over here and rejecting multiple times. Holding support strongly with this candle, creating that high, and now we're coming right back into that level. So could we be rejecting this level and possibly holding support to continue up, or are we going to continue to push down, possibly even back down to 158 over here? Alright, so looking at the daily now. Daily, you could start to see this support right over here, but also these wick rejections. And this is the daily, so we know that this wick over here in the lower time frames is clearly a support, right? You got candle bodies closing at that area as well, where we ended up rejecting this candle. So this candle is a big indecision candle. We passed the high of the previous and passed the low, and now we're almost like a doji candle. Do you have a higher support somewhere in this area? We'll take a look at it on the lower time frames. But right now it looks like price is sitting in the middle of this range right over here.
We were just talking about like that intervention. We're just talking about price breaking the highs and the lows here. So it's very interesting to see price coming right back into this daily consolidation level and just sitting around this.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I kind of wanted to wait for these lower time frames to start to mark off these levels. Like right now, you can see this candle ended up closing right there, and this one opened right there. So far, that was a previous support right in here. Mm-hmm. Right, so can we hold that as a support right now, or are we going to break through it? There you go. You can see all those rejection areas to the left. There you go. So right now we are holding that support. Since reaching this level up here of 167, we've been printing lower highs and lower lows, right? Every time we print these lows, we kind of consolidate, tap into that area, and then we continue right back down. We kind of chopped our way down this way. We just got that strong bearish candle close, but now we're kind of retracing maybe into this area up here. You had that previous support right in this area, which was also a resistance to the left. All that consolidation as well. Just a mess over here. But could we be coming into this area, tapping into it, grabbing liquidity, and then continuing right back down to fill that wick? If you guys go back and look at the previous interest rate hikes on GJ, you'll see a nice liquidity grab, almost like this candle right here, where the candle will push up, flip bearish, and continue right back down. So looking at the 1 hour candle is holding this support. Strong bullish candle. This one created a bottom wick. Now flipping bullish over here. So again, I definitely wait to take anything before price comes out. But I could see us pushing up into a certain area over here and then continuing down. Why? Because I think that a lot of price action when it comes to increasing rates in a weak economy is going to be priced in. Right, we're going to push this up a little bit to grab liquidity, and then all of a sudden the rates come out. They realize, okay, rates came out, we grabbed liquidity, we pushed up, and then now we have a weak economy still. This is going to continue right back down.
A lot of these moves, for example, the Bank of England's interest rates coming out, they're pretty much priced in, right? Like the sentiment of it is already priced in, what we're expecting those rate hikes to do. So right now we're expecting a half basis point hike coming out from Bank of England. The only way, I mean, obviously, when the actual news comes out and the press conference and all of that comes out, that you would still expect to see some good volume, but from a technical level, you'll already see that setting up. So really like paying attention to your details when it comes down to price actions and candle anatomy and everything like that, and what is price setting up for. The only way that you would really see unexpected moves, something that you're not prepared for, something that you don't really see on the charts already, is if you get rate hikes that are a lot lower than what we're expecting. So instead of half basis point hikes, you get quarter basis point hikes, or something a lot more aggressive. So is Bank of England going to come out with 75 basis point hikes? Looking at their economic data, that doesn't make sense, right? Half basis point hikes makes a lot more sense. That also gives them more room to continue increasing interest rates if they need to, going into the end of the year. So from just that perspective, and given that Japan has maintained their negative interest rates and we're bouncing off of key levels, that already kind of tells you where we're headed at that point.
Yep.
If I didn't spell it out enough already.
So now when you guys are breaking down GJ, I could see why it would be hard to break it down with the consolidation to the left over here, trying to figure out certain levels. The main thing you want to understand is the first of all, most importantly, you got the more recent support over here that you want to mark off, and then you got this previous support, which now could be a possible resistance, serve as a resistance. We tap into that area, they increase rates, and then we drop back below this support, and then maybe you could grab this wick fill right over here if you get like a 1 minute or a 5 minute resistance formed below this area to continue down. But also, again, if we break back above that area, we hold some kind of a support, could we continue back up this way to retest that previous resistance? So I think that's good for GJ. You want to hop over to gold?
Yeah, let's do that.
Right. So we got unemployment coming out for gold. You guys don't forget. Looking at the weekly over here, again, we got that strong close below 1680. 1680 is that main level that we've been looking at since the beginning of COVID days, holding that support and pushing up to all-time highs up here, 2075. Then we entered this consolidation phase, recovery phase from COVID. A lot of things happened in here. You had the Russia-Ukraine invasion right over here, which then the Fed introduces rate hikes and tells everyone how hawkish they are, and that's what starts the downward fall of gold dollar, coming all the way back down to 1680 to revisit that previous support. So right now, you get rid of one of these. Not that that's important. Right now, the current week, right, we already created a top wick. We are bearish, but we did fill this wick as well so far. So right now, I know we're kind of consolidating in this area right over here, we got to see if we're going to be able to break out of that area to continue down here. If you look at the daily, as you can see, we got that consolidation. And this is what Sharma and I talked about from the beginning of the week, is that once we break 1680, we could very well consolidate in this area for a little bit before breaking that area, before breaking like 1660 down here. I'm actually going to mark these wicks off, because that'll be a support in the lower time frames, but we are holding a legit resistance right here at 1680. So are we ever going to break back above this area, right, and possibly come back up to 1700, or are we going to stay below here and continue right back down? Looking at the 4 hour, again, consolidation, just bouncing off some of these areas. Now at this point, when price was back over here, when price came right back here, when price was over here, and then, yeah, just about that, I think this range was valid to trade, right? I think we took a few trades in here as well, but now it's starting to get messy. Now it's like, maybe you don't want to trade in this consolidation. Again, this is still the 4 hour, so we'll see what we see on the lower time frames, but at this point, this is where you want to start realizing, all right, let's start blocking this out. We're not going to be trading this. We're just going to be waiting for this break above to 1750 or 1700 with a clean move to the left, and then also once we break 1655, 1660, we get the clean move to the left to continue down. Which that reminds me, what are we looking at as far as our next destination? Let's see if we can go that far back on the 4. Yeah. So it looks like a few areas over here are holding a support right in that area right there. It looks like that's where price currently is right now. But if we go over here, this could be our next destination. Right? It's the next nearest support. So next time we break this area over here, which I believe 1664, 1660, anywhere in this area is where our current price action support is for the consolidation. So once we break that area, we get this area to come into. Once we break that area, you can mark off a few areas in here, especially on the 4 hour, I would say. Maybe somewhere right there. But then you got this move coming all the way down. So you could possibly catch a clean move coming down that way. And then once you break that, you got an awesome move coming right back down. Again, if they keep increasing rates and we don't have that much fear in the market, I could definitely see us continuing down this way. But we got a lot of levels to break before that. Yeah. So this is that level I was marking off to the left over there. So now, if we break this support here, I think we got a clean move coming right back down to 1640. Now looking at the 1 hour over here, we ended up pushing up all the way over here this morning, coming up, holding support, continuing right back up to 1680, and then we just ended up rejecting it as we had been multiple times over here. You guys see all the rejection in this area. You got the fake out right here, and then another rejection right there. And you can kind of see the lower highs being respected as well. Besides this fake out at least. Right? We ended up, rejecting this area with this candle, this bearish candle. But right now we are holding some kind of a support in here as well. Because the candle passed the low right away. This candle closed a no bottom wick. So what's going on? Remember, everything in here is 50-50. There's no clear direction of where price could go. So if you're trying to play these bounces off these the resistance up here, you got to make sure you're lowering your risk because you don't know where price could stop. All right. So we got about 6 minutes left. I don't know if we have time to break down US 30. But
probably not.
Yeah, let's go over to GJ. We'll wait. We'll answer questions, and we'll see what we got going on because we don't want to miss any move.
Yeah. So, what are some questions that you guys have?
Nope.
No questions?
You guys are all good.
All right.
Anybody grabbed the move last night on GJ? perfect break and retest right over here. You had a previous support right over here. Price ended up breaking yesterday with the interest rate move, right? We come all the way down, we create a low over here, we come right back up to hold a resistance with this bearish candle. Perfect setup for you guys, right? Could it have come up into this area? Absolutely. But you can always, draw that like that because you got all those wick rejections and stuff like that. We could have held and this is what I kind of called in the group, you could have held a resistance anywhere in this area. I'd say anywhere in this area over here, you could hold some kind of resistance. Once you get this candle closed bearish, another clean candle right over here, created a top wick, passed below the previous, and just took off. Just tanked over here. Hold on 1 second.
No worries.
How's your US 30 trades, VJ?
I just saw your chart. I was gonna mark up mine and send it over too.
No problem. I'm looking for an entry because one of my trading stop got hit.
Oh man, did you tighten it?
Yeah, I did.
I left mine up until 30,500, and then
And
both
got
of them.
hit
Yeah.
earlier when the yen news came out.
Yeah.
So KB, okay, so this is US 30.
Yes, sir.
KB's been, oh yeah, I saw that, Sharma, you posted the text the other day.
You're touching on it now as well. That's good.
Yeah, it's I'm looking at it. There's a few trades I'm definitely executing on, but right now it's just like being smart about it, implementing a new pair. That could be a lot for people. Same thing with increasing lot size. Like increasing lot size a lot of times ends up with losses, right? And people get frustrated. This is a big mental game. It's mainly mental. So you want to be able to go in there patiently and take the right trades and not get too far behind. I mean, it's not that daunting. It just moves fast. That's all. But and it's something I've always looked at, and there's always been that question of like, oh, could I trade that? But as you get more experience in the markets, it's like it's nothing unusual. It's nothing crazy. It's a fast moving pair, and you just got to be ready for it. But it's the same price action, same risk management, same everything.
Yep. And at the end of the day, you're always covering the fundamentals, so you're pretty much you know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I started in the stock market too, so it's cool being able to trade, the Dow and you got S&P in here too. Some people trade SPY, so it's interesting and it's cool to trade.
It feels like a full circle, because essentially, you're coming right back to the stock market, but a nice intersection between the stock market and the foreign exchange.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been one of my favorite pairs this entire year. I think these guys knows I've been trading US 30 majority of the time.
I think the percentage game on it is crazy.
It's pretty fun because when you're sitting at key levels, you already kind of know what to expect from just like a fundamental perspective. And that's what we were waiting for, like just fundamentals coming out. We already knew what kind of fundamentals there would be as well. Increasing rates. Obviously, there's going to be some fear settling in around potential recessions that they kept saying, like, no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Now they're like, I'm not sure if you like pulled up, any article or anything, but on Bloomberg, I opened that up right now as you were breaking down the charts, and the very first thing that you see is Powell saying that maybe a recession is going to be necessary to control inflation, right? So just coming back and just saying those things that we're pretty much expecting them to say.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, they're not politicians, right? The Fed's not. Oh, here we go. So we got this push up over here. I'm sure they increased rates. Anybody have the data?
Let's see.
We're starting to push down over here a little bit.
I was trying to pull up the data for yesterday's interest rates. on Financial Juice because Forex Factory was taking some time, and I think that crashed because it didn't work for me. All right, they
50
did
basis
come up
points.
to the 0.5%.
Yep. Yep. So this is what we were talking about. We get this pullback over here, and price is coming down. But can we close below this area on some of the lower time frames? Like, are we going to stay below this support? What are you looking for, Sean?
I'm still on US 30, but for GJ, what I want to see is, like you said, like, first of all, is this level going to hold here? Because that's a nice push up, consolidation. If we can hold on to this area and then the next candle takes us back up, I think that's a potential trade opportunity for GJ.
Okay. I like it.
Or even, if it closed down here and then the next candle takes you down, you mirror this entire move to the left.
That's what I'd rather see. Just because it'd be cleaner price action and you get that close below, you get the wick rejection here, or like the classic break and retest, maybe on the 1 minute. 1 minute close like right back above that area.
Yep.
This one is creating a top wick. Could we hold support here, or are we gonna close below this area and continue back down?
Mm-hmm.
Aman, I was actually on the road yesterday for interest rate hikes, so I did not take anything during that. I took something during Asian, which was GJ, which I'm happy I did. But I was definitely eyeing US 30. I was looking at gold and GJ. They all had moves. 75 basis point increase, the same as last one, so it's not a worse increase compared to yeah.
I think the better movement was, when price continued dropping. What after, like specifically for US 30, after Powell said that all the press conference and everything like that, but they were really, he was trying to put out like a little bit more optimistic, but he really couldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, right here. So we got this tank. We ended up holding support over here. And then the pullback. I think I'm thinking of gold. Yeah, we kind of just like ranged over here. But we held support here on the 15 minute. This one respected the low of the previous candle and passed the high over here and corrected the entire move during the press conference.
Yeah,
So
and we caught the trade at the very top of that. After, yep.
So you sold up here?
Yep, it was 30,900. So right at the top there. And then after that, a sell-off, and then took another entry as price was breaking some of these lows down here as well. Around 30,600.
Nice.
And now I'm waiting for a 5-minute candle close here, and then the next one to take us right back down, and then looking for an entry around these levels too.
Nice. Beautiful. Yeah, we got a little support right here. It's the 15 minute. But
We did a live session for interest rates yesterday, and so it was like we're joking around where it was like it felt like watching a Super Bowl game.
oh yeah, just kind of sitting there waiting.
And also there was just like we had a full-on discussion about what Powell was saying, because I had on one side of the screen I had the charts up, and then on the other I had YouTube up with Powell's press conference going on and what he was saying.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was trying to listen to it in the car. It was a little difficult, but it's the same bolt. Like, this is exactly what I was talking about before. Like, they're not politicians, but they need to keep the market calm. They need to keep everyone relaxed a little bit and not so fearful. Like, politicians might want to keep people fearful, but the Fed just wants to keep everyone at ease. Like, relax. We're going to increase rates. Hopefully it doesn't shake the market, but we have to do it because we got to curb inflation, the inflation that we caused.
Well, at this point, they're not even trying to keep the calm anymore, where they know they can't really hide it. So they're we are going to continue increasing interest rates, and we know that it's going to be a little bit more painful for the consumers, for the businesses, the households, etc. But this is what it's going to take, and we're just going to be looking at the employment data, which they keep saying that one of the points that he was talking about was how the employment or the labor market in general is still very strong. And we're like, look at the micro data, like where there's so much unemployment going on, a lot of companies laying off people, right? There's no way that, the labor market is still strong. And second of all, he was talking about like more jobs opening up. These are the same jobs from the pandemic time that are coming back. So there's really no real jobs opening up. It's just filling up those jobs still from the pandemic times.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely not many new jobs out there. They're all just recycled.
Jobs that haven't even been filled since the pandemic because a lot of people are still switching.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, we ended up getting this strong 5-minute close with the wick to fill over here. So right now is the 1 minute holding a resistance right here, retesting that level, holding the resistance, and continuing down to retest the low. I'm looking for specifically a close below here, and maybe we could take this thing down if we do get that. If not, maybe we hold a higher low and continue up and break this area. But I'd rather stay out of this whole area right here, because if you look at the 15-minute, everything's consolidating in here. Once you break back above here, then you got a nice range to trade, right? And obviously you could continue right through, but then also you break the range right here to possibly continue down, and you get more of a direction. But not many people want to stay patient for that. And that's where you get caught.
Prices moved crazy already today as well, so gotta be extra.
Yeah, during London? Yeah. KB, do you trade London?
I do, yeah, but I've pretty much not been looking at GJ now because for the last 3-4 months I've been back testing and paper trading US 30, so kind of looking at gold and US 30 mainly. But
Okay, nice.
I wish I was looking at GJ earlier.
Okay. Well, you still have a bunch of experience with it, right?
Yeah.
So you're just kind of like done with it? You'd rather just stick with it?
I've just set up a little side account just to trade purely US 30, so I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty much concentrated on that. But
Okay.
yeah, GJ, I'd like to see it sort of break out of this monthly consolidation it's been in.
Yeah. You and me both. It's one on the chat. KB is GOAT. Yes.
Far from it, bro.
Alright, this is my entry here on US 30, and then I'm going to manage it at some of the minor support levels as well.
You're in the US 30 trade?
Yep.
Oh, here we go. Oh, okay. So, this is from yesterday. You get the liquidity grab, and then price just continues down.
Yep.
So you just entered another one.
Yep, so a tank down pretty much. Oh, I was going to explain it.
Yeah, no, I was going to go to US 30 for you.
Alright. Alright, perfect. Yeah, so pretty much that tank down that happened comes right back into this. I thought it was a zone I was showing. But comes right back into closer to this 30,000 area, right? We try to break below it, failed to do that. And then in London session, we start to get a nice retracement, pretty much. And then we got a new high being formed. So now the thought process is minor correction of this little pullback that happened. A little corrective move, hold on to a resistance, and then continue pushing down. So then I drop down to the 5-minute time frame as we were just speaking. Yeah, so on the 5-minute time frame, we've come back and hold on to a nice little resistance right into some of these previous areas. And then this is right when interest rates came out, right now. So I broke the high right after that, it flipped, and then dropped down to the 1 minute. Don't really do this often, but I guess it's becoming a thing now with further details of price action. But interest rates right at this, push down a bit more. All right, so can we get a retracement, or can we continue breaking below this? Instead, we got a retracement and then rejected right into some of these higher levels. So the entry was taken at 30,241. And then after that, when price continued pushing down, pretty much took this entry, coming right back down.
Nice. So we got like a close below over here. This candle's starting to flip bearish.
Yep.
A clean move to the left. That looks good. Just want to go back to GJ real quickly. Check on our pair over here. Yeah, it looks like since creating that lower high right here, we've been pushing down. So again, can we close below here to continue right back down today? US 30. Yeah, this looks nice.
Yeah, so here I would want to see retracement and rejection of this 30,000 level prior to a continuation down.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm looking at too. Like if we could form some kind of a resistance, because we are a little overextended on the 1 minute, can we form a low, retest that area, and then continue right back down?
I hopped immediately right back up to the 5-minute time frame. 1 minute, like, I recently just started doing this. I think this is the second or third trade. I don't really do that often, but that's more just for like the details to understand, like, can we continue pushing down, or are we just doing some wick rejections because news just came out, because we did see US 30 even reacting to Bank of England's interest rates.
Yeah, I mean, it's the 1 minute is just pure price action. You're getting less data in each candle,
Yep.
right? But it's still candles, and you can still read them the same way. You still get setups, but they're weaker setups. You just got to understand that and lower your risk a little bit. But I do like this candle, the strong candle close basically below. You get a healthy top wick on this 5 minute, pass the low of that candle. We could continue down, and if we do, and you miss that move, journal it. But also, don't get any kind of FOMO, because you could very well be coming down to create a low and then retrace and get that classic retest of this area before continuing down.
Absolutely, because this is the last 5-minute candle of the current 15. And so just wait for the 15 at this point to close below that area. So just wait for this 5 minute to close below that area. And then wait for the next 15 to create a top wick to push down, which would give you a retest on the 5-minute time frame to continue pushing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just marking this up over here. And GJ's coming down.
Did you take anything, Chris?
I took the same entry as you, but my entry was at 30,247.
Oh, just a little bit higher. Nice.
Just a little.
Nice.
Let's put this here. Continuing down. US 30. So US 30 on the right, GJ on the left.
Alright, I'm going to take a little bit off right around this zone.
And then, Sharma, the points, when it comes to US 30, counting pips and everything, every $100 is 1,000 points.
That's 100 pips.
Points.
Or 100 points.
100 points is 100 pips.
From like 30 to 30,300 down to like 30,200 is like 100,
Yes.
100 points.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So if you drop from like 31,000 all the way down to 30,000, which is basically what happened yesterday, that was 1,000 points.
That's awesome. Yeah, look at this.
Alright, we got 30 seconds. Let's see if we can get a strong close below this.
I'm looking let's check out. Pre-markets real quick. Yeah, pre-markets are all down today.
VJ, what's the equivalence of points to pips?
What's the equivalent to that?
Yeah, equivalence of points to pips.
I'm not really sure, because for US 30 I've always talked about like points instead of pips, and then when it comes down to currencies then I'll talk about pips, because that's the change in the rates, right?
I'm asking because I saw like I was going over something that said that like 1 point in US 30 is like the equivalent to 10 pips like on the currency side.
That's what I was talking about too.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I've always talked about points in US 30. That's generally like how it's talked about. And then for gold, it's usually in like dollars, like it dropped like the X amount of dollars, but we talk about that in pips when we're trading here together. But I've
Yes.
generally talked about it in points, so I'm not really sure.
yeah, he was just trying to translate one to the other.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, we call it points in US 30, but or any kind of indice, but it's like how many points is a pip. So I think that's what he was trying to figure out.
All right, let's find out.
Because I think it's 10. 10
I think
10.
it is.
So
Like every 1,000 points is, I think, 100 pips.
yeah.
It's 100 points is 10 pips.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
So now we're getting that pullback here in US 30. So can we hold that resistance? GJ over here is still ranging in this area. That's why you want to stay patient, wait for price to break out of this area. Yeah, we're holding that support right there. So again, either way, we'll be happy with. Whether breaking out of the resistance or breaking the support. And don't forget, gold, we have unemployment coming out later today. So, keep that in mind. Sharma, are you still in?
Yes, I am. I just took some partials, around 30,174. And then I'm going to wait for, again, like some of those retracements and continuation down. So I'm still waiting for, some move like this.
Okay. And yesterday, guys, we filmed a what was that, like a 40-minute, 50-minute breakdown and back test of US 30 for our podcast, because I feel like a lot of our podcasts are all psychological driven, whether it's interviewing other traders. And if you guys want to be interviewed, let us know. You're more than welcome to come on and talk through your journey, stuff like that. But it's mainly psychology talk and what it takes to be a successful trader, things that you need to be doing, ways that you need to be thinking, stuff like that. But somebody actually asked us to put it to the test when it comes to showing what we're talking about when it comes to managing risk or sitting in consolidation, anything like that. So we used the back tester and did that on US 30 yesterday, and caught a pretty nice trade. But I think that'll be released tomorrow.
Yes.
Is that what you want to do? Okay. So
Every Friday, we're hoping to get like one episode out. So you guys have something to look forward to on Fridays. And of course, like throughout the week, we have like the simulation sessions. We have the weekly outlooks. We have, this New York live session that we try to do. But
let's get Pat on there. Pat, you want to hop on the podcast?
Sorry, say that again. So I was just on a call.
I was saying I would love to get you on the podcast. I want people to hear part of your story if you're welcome to that. I think it's very interesting with what you've been through the last few years and how you're really digging into the market and your job and all that stuff, how you're balancing everything.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know if I have a lot of value to offer, but
No, you do. You do. You do.
I'm keen. Yeah.
there's
Alright.
always like, every trader kind of goes through something different, yet it's quite similar in different ways. And so, don't worry about the value. You absolutely have the value, right?
Yeah, definitely. You got a good story. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. I think you were grabbing water, Sharma. It's like everyone's got their deck of cards that they've been dealt, and it's like how do you shuffle that deck? How do you play that deck? And we all have a different one, and every single story is interesting. Whether you think it is or not, other people may learn from it, which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
It also provides motivation to other people who may be like kind of in the same boat. Or it could even be like some people just need like a catalyst, I guess. to kind of help them going. So then what majority of people like to do, just coming to like psychology and what like the average mind tends to be like, is we like to make a lot of excuses on why we're not doing something, right? But then you also know deep down that it is really just an excuse and you're the one who's holding yourself back. So then you have to kind of take that step. Sometimes it could just be someone else's story. Sometimes, you know, for some people the catalyst is people legit telling them like you're slacking off, like you need to get your stuff together, right? And for some people it's more of like a motivational story, like this guy isn't like the same spot that I'm in, but you know, he's dealing with, like you like to say, Stefanos, like he's dealing with his cards differently than I am, right? And if he can do it, then I can do it as well.
Yeah. Well, he even has just a different perspective on his deck of cards
Yeah.
and doesn't realize like that deck of cards is for him and not to him. It's not happening to him, right? Whatever deck he just got dealt, it's for you, right? And if you just, it's such a simple mindset shift of just saying like, okay, this is all happening for me instead of to me.
Yep.
You're gonna be golden. And if you could do that majority of the time, if not every time that you hit adversity, you're gonna be solid. You're gonna be a good person. You're gonna be stronger for it. And
You never want to fall in that victim mindset of like, why did this just happen to me? Or like, why did it have to happen right now to me? Right? There's obviously a reason why you're handed these challenges. I mean, if life was really that simple, it'd be boring as hell for everyone, right?
that's why, like, I can't stand when people are negative. Like, I get visibly annoyed when, you know, you're going through a situation or, I don't know, like, going through, like, adversity as a group instead of an individual, and you got somebody, like, in your ear chirping, like, oh, this is gonna happen, or what's gonna happen here? It's like, why bring that negative in here? Like, we all know it. Let's focus on the solution, not the problem. Like, what's that gonna do for you? Like, worrying about it, it's not gonna make the situation any better at all.
I was gonna say, Steph and Vijay, that I've noticed that people, you know, like it happens in stages. You know, like the 7 stages of grief. You know, like when something happens to you, your initial response is like, oh, fuck, Lord, oh, man, like why me? Like, what the fuck did I do? Like, you know, like I don't deserve this, you know, sort of thing. And then you get past that initial. It's an initial response, right? Then you know, you sit down, you think about things, you put it in context, you get past it, and you're like, okay, how can I grow from this? And then you start to reflect, and you're like, actually, you know what, maybe this is good for me, or whatever the case may be. So I've noticed, you know, obviously with maturity and whatnot, that, you know, even like when I observe people in my team, you know, get like negative replies or from whatever, it's usually like a process. You know, you come full circle from that initial victim to, you know, you're then trying to like rationalize, and then you're then like comfortable with what has happened, and then you graduate to like it being a growth, you know, it's serving as a growth variable for you. So that's what I've noticed.
Yeah, and some people don't get out of that cycle, and some people don't, you know, it takes longer, right? It takes a little bit longer for you to get from victim to, okay, solution-based kind of a thought process, but some people don't even get out of that thought process at all, and it's always like, why me? I'm the victim. I should be compensated, or I should, you know, I deserve this, I deserve that. Like, that's never going to get you anywhere.
Yeah,
I think it's a sense of like feeling entitled, you know, that, and I never really understood that. You know, like, why do you feel so entitled that everything should be working out for you? You gotta work hard for whatever you want, and obviously there are going to be challenges, but it's only to make you a better person. To come back to what you were saying, Pat, like, initial response for majority of people in the very beginning is like, you know, why did this happen to me? But to be able to make that switch to like, all right, what's the solution now? That's the big thing. But you do that enough times, you know, when a problem comes across your table, you don't even think about it, like, after, you know, some time, that why did this just happen to me? You switch immediately right into, okay, this has happened, now what's the solution for this? Right?
This is why meditating is so important. Because, like, you can control your mind in these certain situations. And if you could, like, bring your mind from the negative to the positive, And you're right. Like a lot of people think the way you do, not the way you do, but I'm saying the way you were just describing. But like as you go through it more and more, and you get more and more practice, just like you get more and more practice with meditation, the quicker you're gonna go from victim to, okay, I gotta get this straight. I gotta figure this out, and I will do it,
Yeah.
no matter.
It's also like when you come from, like Stefanos and I have talked about it a few times, and I think we mentioned it in our one of our podcast episodes too, where like when you come from like an immigrant background, then it's like it's no longer like you don't even feel entitled because you've seen your parents working, your entire life, so you know what work ethic looks like, and that's what you're trying to follow. But now it's just like, oh, see, you're not gonna go and do like the same job that your parents did. You're probably doing something else, right?
Yeah, definitely a different type of work ethic.
Yeah.
Like I've had a back and forth relationship with my dad over the course of my life, but I've always respected the work ethic that he has. Like, I don't think anybody works as hard as he does. I work as hard, if not harder, than he does but I'm doing it differently. Like in today's day and age, like I'm thinking a little bit more smart and business mind instead of work. Like typical. I don't want to say typical immigrant because that just sounds
like physical
terrible,
labor,
like,
right? It's not more of that.
Yeah.
It's more of like from a mental perspective because
100%.
To do a business, you need to be mentally strong.
Yes, 100%. And there are tons of immigrants that come from a more entrepreneurial background.
Yep.
That's not my dad, but those guys work very hard as well.
Absolutely. So that's your guys' entry right there on US 30.
Yeah, I'm looking at that as well.
Yeah, it does. I don't think I've ever like publicly said this, but it does kind of like annoy me just a very little bit when it's like when you see people who are like entitled and they whine and complain a lot, but it's like, did you put in the work for it? And they're like, no, like very bare minimum, but they want the maximum results.
Yeah. Yep. It's frustrating when you put time into that.
It is, but it's also like you kind of, like I was talking about, like for some people they just need a catalyst. They need like something that would kind of motivate them to, for some people it could just be like, talking to them politely, like, hey, this is what you need to work on. I understand what you're talking about, but, this is what we need to fix and this is how we can fix it. But if the person on their end just refuses to do that and still they want to come back and, they still want to complain about it, then you kind of have to think about like, okay, well, this thing didn't work for this person. And for some people, they need a hard check, right? They need a hard check. Like, you need to get it together. Like, you need to do it yourself. No one else can come in and do this for you. No one else can come in and run a mile for you, lift the weights for you, and then automatically just have like a nice body or something, right? No one can come in and do the chart hours for you, and all of a sudden your bank account is growing or your trading account is growing. You need to put in the hours yourself. So there's different ways that you can really approach it for some people. And then there's like few who just, even God can't help them, right? They just refuse to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think too many people want this to be easy. But like, why would you want things to be easy? Why would you, like, everyone's going to be doing it. It makes it more valuable when it's not easy, when you can finally accomplish it, because now you feel better about yourself. Now you feel proud. You feel pride in all the work that you did and everything that you got through. So embrace all the hardships and, all the lost trades and, maybe you lost accounts if you blew an account once or twice. Embrace all that. They've all been lessons for you.
I think there's different stages to it, but it's also like, in some way, this is quite similar to any other profession that you would see. Not everyone can be a doctor, not everyone can be a policeman or a policewoman. Why is price, at a specific level? Why is there a massive wick rejection here but not at another level? Something like that, just trying to understand what's happening from a technical level. Put the time in to learn fundamental analysis, put the time in to build risk management strategy that's fluid across different instruments and different assets that you can trade, right? Obviously, the way that you would manage GJ is not the same way that you would manage gold or that you would manage US 30. All three of these run in different ways. US 30 is an indice, and obviously there's going to be a lot more volatility here than it would be with gold. And gold is going to be a lot more volatile than GJ would be. So being able to use, a skeleton risk management, but adapting it to that instrument. Like when you go apply for a job, you're not going to use the same resume for every job, right? You're going to try to tailor it to whatever that job is asking for. It's the same exact thing when you're looking at the foreign exchange market. You have to tweak your strategies in that way. It's the same skeleton, strategy, but you're just tweaking it according to how that pair specifically moves. And then it starts to get fun because then you start to understand what's happening in the world, how is that being reflected onto the charts. And then when you're looking at the charts and you already have that understanding, then you already know, like, okay, this is what's coming up and this is what we can expect. And when you're able to do that, I think that's the most fun part. So it's not built for everyone. Everyone wants to do it, obviously, because of the capital gains, but it's not built for everyone. Just like any other profession isn't built for just about anyone.
Yeah. Amazing point.
So, like, I was reflecting the other day, and I realized just how much damage it can be done on a person if you're introduced to Forex the wrong way.
Yep.
So if you're introduced to Forex as this is, there's a limited time, or you can learn this in a short space of time, and unrivaled, unlimited earnings, where you're going to be driving a Lamborghini like these young boys like to show, in 6 months. If people buy into that, and I think that is so destructive just for the learning process and the journey going forward, because you reach a point where you're like, okay, this shit doesn't work. I've been lied to, and I almost now need to like reorient myself and figure out, okay, what's the actual truth, and then accept that and almost restart your journey. So I found that can also be like a huge, it can place a huge mental block for most people that go into trading the wrong way.
Absolutely.
100%. 100%. True Forex gamers are the source of this. Yeah. Yeah, it's we live in a day and age of instant coffee, right? Everyone wants everything now, and that appeals to a lot of people. When you tell someone they can make profits now and they can get this within 2 months, and they're going to be making crazy profits, passing challenges, all that stuff within maybe 5-6 months, I wouldn't believe that. Right? Like, how do you expect to make more than a doctor after a doctor's been in school for 10 years?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of just thinking about right now, too, while you were saying that. Where it's, other professions, like, for example, make a lot of money, but think about, they're literally sitting in classrooms like 6 to 8 hours a week for years of their life.
Yeah.
Right? Just to get that information. So then how do you expect, yes, like at the end of the day, it's candles, right? But what are these candles saying? What's the wake rejection saying? What does it mean when price is closing like a doji, when it's consolidating at certain levels, right? To understand that, I'm not saying put in 6 to 8 hours, because you can just sit there 6 to 8 hours staring at the chart and it's not going to do anything for you if you don't really understand what's going on, right? So you got to put in like intentional work. You have to understand before you're going on to the charts. I think Steph, you and I were talking about this yesterday when we were getting ready for the podcast. I think it was like before the session, where it's when you're going into a back testing session, you need to know, what's the purpose of it? Are you going there just to look for setups? Practice your setups? Are you going there for risk management? Are you going there to understand how does price move, or that specific whatever asset that you're trading moves during specific fundamentals? So then you would be looking at specific periods of time, right? And you would be back testing that. So even when you're sitting on the charts, even if you're live back testing, paper trading, what's the purpose of, you sitting there and doing that? Are you looking for setups? Are you trying to see like how this pair moves around London session versus New York and London overlap versus like when London is over and there's this last pretty much quick volume that comes in towards the end of New York session, right? What's the purpose of you being on the charts? Here we're taking a trade, but then I'm also, while I'm looking at my trade, I'm in it, but I'm also looking at what's the possibility of this trade retracing into some of these zones and then price continuing down there, down from there, right? And then from there, like, how am I going to manage my trade? So taking partials in between too, at the first sign that I see that there is some exhaustion. True exhaustion, not just something that I think is happening, but I see the candles printing side by side at a specific zone, right? So what's the purpose there? And you're always analyzing too, even if you're in a trade.
Absolutely. And then, just to go back to that, what I was just talking about with like coming into the market and trying to be a doctor and stuff like that, you could turn that into a sports analogy. You guys know I love to do that. And you can imagine yourself coming into, let's say, the NFL and trying to be a quarterback and coming into Tampa Bay working under Tom Brady as a rookie. You just got drafted and you think that you could take his spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's exactly what a lot of traders come into the market thinking that they could do. Like, you guys come in as rookies thinking you could take the spot of a trader that's been trading for 20, 30 years in this market. Maybe started on Wall Street and now he's doing it independently. You think you're going to beat that person not putting enough work in? Like, you guys need to put a lot of work in. Read a lot of books. Ask a lot of questions. Send a lot of charts. And just do it every single day consistently. And if you could do that, you're going to be good. But it's going to take time, and you got to know that. It's got to be, the longer you guys think, the more successful you guys are going to be. If you guys think in the short term, other than the work that you're putting in, I always talk about that, you want to think short term when it comes to the work you're putting in. But when it comes to your journey, you got to think long term. I'm in this for 5, 10 years. I'm in this for 20, 30 years. I'm trying to create a lifestyle. I'm trying to create generational wealth, if that's one of your things. I'm trying to help thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people, right? If you think in those terms, you're not going to think about the day-to-day. The day-to-day is not going to stress you out because you're thinking in years. If you're thinking in years, you're going to be a lot better off.
And the chances are that you are here for years because you're not going to get into trading, be successful in it, make some money, like once you've gotten a taste of it, and then be like, okay, I'm done. Yeah. Right? You've made the money, you will see it, and you're like, all right, this is something that I want to continue, because obviously everybody wants to continue making money. You're not going to trade, you're not going to make $100,000, let's say, for example, in a year, and then you're going to go back to your $60,000 job.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you really love it, which is 100%, what I go for, and I 100% support that as well. Continue building your skill sets. That's one of the ways to continue building wealth too. If you just keep your same skill sets, if you keep your same knowledge and you never want to learn again, you never want to pick up a book, you never want to, listen to a podcast, you never want to have any conversations where you're actually growing, then you're going to stay stuck in the same spot, right? And if not, worsen. You're going to continue to decline from there. You have to continue learning, you have to continue investing in yourself. So whether that's like, independent study or, I always say there's no harm in getting a job, right? Go get a job if you need to, because technically you're acquiring skill sets and you're getting paid to acquire those skill sets. So go get a job in whatever area that you want to go work in. If it's in trading, go get a job that requires you to be in finance and that requires you to work with financial markets. Right? And go study for that if you need to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, definitely. But the main thing you want to do is focus on one thing first. And honestly, there's no simpler way. I'm not going to say easy, but there's no simpler way to make money or make a year's salary in the span of, or make the average yearly salary in the span of, it could be 30 minutes if you want it to be. There's no better way to do that than trading the markets. Right, because you're literally sitting at your computer, clicking a button, and it's all based on your decisions and what you've seen in the past, and that's where the confidence comes from. But, you want to be able to master one thing first. So, like, don't start thinking about other businesses before you master the first one. So, and it's the same thing with pairs. Don't start moving on to different pairs or different sessions before you master the first one that you started with.
Absolutely. There's a good book. I forgot the name of it, but I read it, a couple of months ago. And when I find it, I'll post about it. But it tells you, like, the reason why majority of startups fail. And it happens because they scale too fast and too early, right? So that scaling could essentially mean like you start hiring more people, at levels where even your process, you can't repeat that. Like you yourself cannot repeat that. If someone told you to write down the entire process of doing something just so you can hire somebody else and delegate the task to them, you won't be able to do that. Right? So that's one reason, like hiring too many people, or you start putting too much money in, but you're not really sure what to do with that money. You don't have like a plan for it. So then you just start blowing money into things that don't even matter at that stage. You will eventually need it later on for your company to grow, but not at that particular stage. Right? And it's the same thing like you were talking about right now, where you gotta put in those hours, and obviously, if you're not, think of this like a startup. If you start scaling too fast, if you start looking at too many different pairs, right off the bat, or you start like over trading or anything like that, that's you trying to scale too fast, right? So take your time with it, and then obviously go with like one pair at a time. Try to understand what's happening with that pair, with the fundamentals that are coming out, with economic data that's coming out, right? With the market session overlaps, things like that. Different parts of the economy, and whatever's going on over there, how's that being reflected into your specific pair. So just managing your trade in general, right? So that's you taking your time with it, and then start going into like other pairs.
Yeah, I mean that you could use this as an example. Like we both went into this knowing that this isn't really scalable, like mentorship as a whole, right? Like you can only scale it so much, and we're okay with that. Like in today's day and age, you want to look for businesses that are scalable, but this is more of a passion thing than it is about scaling a business and getting other people to do our job. Like it's just not the same, right? Other businesses are much scalable. Like let's say my driving company is scalable because I'm able to hire more and more drivers, hire or buy more and more trucks. Like that's a scalable business, but this is not. And just knowing the limitations to your trade, limitations to your business is going to do a lot of good for you.
Absolutely. Because there's nobody else that you can really hire that would come in and replace you. Everyone.
In this? No.
Yeah, because everyone's going to see the markets differently.
Yeah.
Right? And the person that you hire, for example, is going to see the markets differently. So do you really want to see like conflicting views within your own mentorship program? Probably not.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and that wouldn't be fair to you guys. Imagine if I like promise you guys a one-on-one Zoom and I send somebody else on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, could you take this Zoom for this guy or this girl? No. They don't want that. You guys don't want that.
All right, we got some questions here on YouTube.
Cool.
So the first one is, I see that you only trade US 30. Is it because fundamentally it's easier for you? So from a fundamental perspective, it's not easy. It's the same thing as it would be for anything else. It's just that this was something I was looking at since 2020, and I was kind of getting ready for this thing to move in a certain direction I was already anticipating from a fundamental perspective. And then as soon as that happened, I started catching onto those moves. But also personally, I haven't had a lot of time to sit at the charts and look at a lot of different pairs. With work, businesses, just handling all of that. It's been quite a hectic year so far. And so with that, I've only been focusing on US 30 because that was something I was already preparing for. And then Trader X Boy, I'm not really sure exactly who you're referring to, whether it's me or to Stefanos, but he said, do you have free Discord? I would love to join and learn from you. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly who he's referring to.
Yeah, he said bro, so I don't know.
Probably you.
Yeah, what's it called? Yeah, if you want to reach out to either one of us on Instagram, we'll be happy to talk to you and see what we could do. But yeah, absolutely. How long have you been trading, man? You just type it into YouTube. Looks like the US 30 is trying to hold this resistance here. Let's go back to GJ. Wow! Nobody's gonna warn us about this?
I think KB put that into the chat while we were talking.
Did he?
Yeah.
See, that's the one downside of when we get into these conversations.
We get carried away.
Come on now. So this is, I mean, we called it. So if you guys ever did, anybody end up taking this? I can't believe I didn't see that. That's all right. I'm trying to see where my entry would have been. The only difficult thing is 30-minute candle has no top wick over here. This candle, closed above, obviously. Looking at the 15-minute, I mean, this is that setup we like, where you get that strong bearish close, weak bullish close. Normally, I like the top wick on this one first before passing the low, and I normally enter right here. But the fact that we have this support right here, I would want this setup right here. I'd want that like right here. And if I had that right there, I would have been in this trade right down to this wick fill. Now looking at the 5-minute, 5-minute ended up just, as we saw, we came up to retest this area up here, held resistance, and continued down. So maybe taking it from over here, your stop loss around here, or maybe even up here, around 161.550. Looking at the 1-minute, yeah, there was no clear, close below. This is what we were talking about before. We were looking for a close below this area, and like a retest, where we hold the resistance below this previous support over here, and then take it down. And we never got that. So you would have had to take it from somewhere up here. Which, you had the nice setup up here, but, again. Alright. Yes, sir. No top wick. And guys, it's more important for you to stick to your rules in the market than it is for you to miss a trade. Wait, is that how I wanted to say that? Yeah, it's more important for you to stick to your rules than catching a trade. That's the better way to say it. So, if you have a setup that everything isn't lining up with what you're looking for, your criteria and your entry criteria for that specific trade, if that's not matching up, it's much better for you to just stay back, lie back test it, than to just jump into a trade with, a few things missing that you're looking for.
So Trader X Boy said that I am a pure price action trader, though. That's all we do.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what our technical trading is. Price action, and then we put in fundamentals and understanding the market sentiment.
Yeah. See, Molly over here, I guess that's how you say your name.
Mm-hmm.
Molly realized that there was no way that they could have entered this GJ trade. So in that case, Molly, he or she, should be content with missing this. Right? If you didn't have an entry, and if you don't see an entry, you should not get FOMO from this move. If you don't see your setup, now if you see your setup and you did not see it because you weren't looking at it, that's a problem. Right? Because then you're going to be missing trades you should be taking, and you're missing opportunities. That you should feel the FOMO on. Should you act on the FOMO? Absolutely not. There's a difference. Getting FOMO over missing a trade and being able to control your emotions and not act on it is much better than, getting FOMO and then just being like, you know what, I got to enter this now, right? And then just taking a sell now, all the way down here when that wasn't even your plan. Lewis, what about an impulse entry once the lows were broken on the 30-minute on GJ? Let's take a look. Right here?
Then you want to think about your stop loss. That's a huge stop loss that you would place then.
One thing, let me bring this up real quick for you guys. Somewhere in here.
So being content with missing the trade, but also what I would do at that point, if I saw a move happening, but I also couldn't see how I would enter it, then I would hop up to some of the higher time frames and look at how is price moving there. If it's in that impulsive overextended, then you know that there's going to be some retracement and you can look for another trade coming in.
Anybody on YouTube, if you guys are looking at this, you guys can screenshot this if you want. This is a checklist. No matter what your strategy is, this will work for you before entering a trade. You guys want to ask yourself these questions. Now, again, it looks daunting, it looks long, it looks like it's going to take a lot of time, and you're going to miss trades by trying to run through this and basically catch the trade without reading this. You need to be able to memorize this almost, right? And most of these things are probably already in your mind, but it's very important to follow all these to figure out what exactly you need to do before entering a trade. And one of those is, where's my stop loss going to be? And that could be either one of the first ones or one of the last ones, but it's probably the most important, because if you don't have a valid stop loss, that is not a valid trade. You're not going to enter that trade.
I mean, I think this is a lot shorter than what I have. I legit have like a 3 to 4 page one that breaks down, like, from a fundamental perspective, where the questions that you should be asking yourself, what kind of sentiment would that set up, and then from a technical level, what are the questions that you'd be asking yourself? So from like higher time frame down to lower time frame, and then breaking down the time frames as well for a scalp versus day trade versus swing trade. And then I have like the confidence level check, so questions that would check your confident, whether you're confident in that trade or not, or are you just taking it as like a FOMO or like an impulsive move just because. Journaling breaks down all of that. So I think this itself is a lot shorter than what I have. If people find this long, then you probably wouldn't want to look at mine at all.
Yeah, I mean, the one that I put together with you guys, like if you come into the group and we put together your trading checklist, and not trading checklist, but your trading plan and your strategy and everything, we put it on a piece of paper. There's only a few of these things in there when it comes to the entry criteria of a trade.
Mm-hmm.
But these are like, it's a little bit more extended because it's just like in detail. There's a few other reminders there. The one thing I like a lot on this one is the this question that you ask yourself, that you should always be asking yourself before entering a trade. Is this an emotional decision or a logical one, a rational one, where I came up with a plan for that specific trade? I have an end goal. I have a exit plan. I know exactly what I want to do, where I want to secure, why I'm taking the trade, all that stuff, as opposed to I just lost the trade and all I want to do is just make it back. I like this setup, let me just jump in.
Absolutely.
Right? That's an emotional decision. You don't want to be making those. Those are going to hurt your account. Will you win one every now and then? Of course. But guess what? Most of the time, you're going to be either losing your account or just losing, anywhere from 2 to 4%, because all of a sudden you're stacking all these revenge trades, and before you know it, you're finding yourself down 5-10% if you're not managing risk or, entering with the right risk.
Absolutely. So I do have to head out now. I legit need to leave in like 6 minutes to make it in time.
I think
But
you guys got a lot from that.
yeah, but we'll see you guys tomorrow for our simulation session. It's going to be at 3 p.m. PST, 6 p.m. Eastern time. And then also in the morning, you'll get the new podcast episode.
Yep.
All right, have a great rest of the day, everybody. Make sure you guys are trading safe. There's not much coming out for the rest of, I think, New York session. I think the bigger moves will be tomorrow around PMI. So you have PMI data coming out in London session and then also in New York session. So kind of just wait it out. And then everything else today is going to be from a technical perspective. So if you see the setups, then, execute on that, but make sure that's within your trading plan.
Absolutely. Guys, thanks for showing up. Hopefully you guys got a lot out of that. It was great conversation too. Great back and forth. So if you have any questions at all, especially you guys on YouTube as well, if you guys need any help at all, just reach out to us. More than happy to hop on a Zoom and see what we can do. So guys, have a great day.
Absolutely. So if you guys need to reach out to us on Instagram, mine's at SharmaFX and Stefanos is StefanosFX.